Hi guys, and welcome back on the channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about the patch 1.3 of Panzer Dragoon Remake that was released last week. So as you know, it was a patch that we have been waiting for a long time, with a lot of features that are fixing some things. And we are going to discuss this in this video today. Before we get into this, I just wanted to mention that I'm currently running a giveaway. So if you haven't purchased Panzer Dragoon Remake already, you can enter for a chance to win a copy of the game on the eShop on the Nintendo Switch. So you can go on my Twitter. I will also put a link below the video, a direct link to the tweet that lets you win a copy of the game. And before we get into the review as well, I wanted to mention that if you can't wait for the end of this giveaway, you can also get the game with a discount. So there is this permanent discount that Forever Entertainment often does with their games. So you can have a 20% discount on Panzer Dragoon Remake if you own one of Forever's game. So there is a full list on the eShop. And a good trick is that you can purchase one of their games for like less than €1 or $1, and then once you own this game, you can save 20%. So it's like you spend maybe 50 cents and you save $5. So it's a good trick if you need to save a little bit on Panzer Dragoon Remake. All right, so let's get into the full patch notes of this Panzer Dragoon Remake 1.3. So as you know, this patch has added some new features, and it has also fixed some things. So let's go into the new features first. Panzer Dragoon Remake 1.3 add episode 0, which is basically something we already had in the original. It's basically an unlimited stage with several waves of enemies. And you're losing gradually some life, and the only way to regain life, HPs, is to take down enemies. So it's pretty fun. It feels very arcade-ish. It's really fun to play, and I recommend you this mode. It's really fun. The second new feature is the super weapon mode, which is basically the rapid fire. It's pretty fun to use. It's basically your pistol. You just need to hold the fire button, and then it shoots. You don't need to smash the fire button. One thing to note though is that if you use the classic controls and you activate the super weapon mode, normally without this enabled, you can use A or B without difference. You can, if you hold A or B, it locks enemies, and if you smash the A/B button, it uses the pistol. But if you activate the super weapon mode, only one of those two will activate the gun, and the other one will activate the lock-on. So it's important to know that, and it's the same with the modern control mode. Basically, before this patch, we could use ZR or ZR with no difference, but now ZL doesn't work anymore for locking enemies. So it's basically, if you activate that, and even without that, the ZR button is only for the gun, and ZR is only for locking enemies. So you need to remember that when you are going to use this feature, the super weapon mode. So what else have we got here? We have some new gameplay options, such as Rumble. So Rumble, I tried that. I was one of the person who wanted that the most, I think, and the implementation is quite good. It's quite good, especially with the Pro controller. With the Nintendo Switch in portable mode, I think the rumble is a bit rough sometimes, but it's probably due to the nature of the Joy-Cons, I'm not sure. But I think the rumble feels better with a Pro controller. Classic reticle is basically, many people have been asking for that. It's a reticle that is in front of your dragon, because before this patch we only had one reticle that was, on the front of the camera. So for some people it didn't make sense. Now you have the option. So if you activate the classic reticle, the reticle will be actually in front. So if your dragon is in the middle of the screen and you have your reticle in the middle as well, you won't see the reticle. All right, auto aim zoom. It's basically when you lock enemies, there is a small zoom. And well, personally, I disabled that because I thought that anything that could cause slowdown in the game, I didn't want that to happen. And it's not really helping me personally. So if you don't need it, you can disable that. Honestly, it's not really helpful in terms of zoom. So I suggest you guys disable that. HUD toggle. So basically, we can disable the HUD entirely. So I think it's a nice option to have. I did not really enable that so far. So maybe if you are really good and you don't need to see how much life you have left, it's maybe better for immersion in the game. Next, and not the least, performance mode activates 60 frames per second. So it's a very welcome addition to the game. It's something most people wanted to see in this game. Personally, I think it's a very welcome addition to the game, but I was not, I didn't feel like the game was bad in 30 frames per second. It was more about the aiming issues that we had. I think the aiming issues were the priority. But it's nice to have this performance mode. But the problem with that is that whether you enable it or disable it, it has no impact. I mean, I have not made any test in terms of, I don't have the tools to test that, but if you activate the performance mode, you pause the game, you disable it in the middle of a stage, there is no reload, nothing, it's instantaneous and you don't see any difference. So I have a suspicion that it's probably making no difference. So basically, if you like the game the way it looked before and you enjoyed it in 30 frames per second, well, you won't be able to play that anymore. I hope they can fix that, because honestly, what's the point of adding an option if it's not an option? Then put the game in 60 frames per second and don't call it performance with an option that you can enable or disable. It's a bit weird to set things this way. So that's it regarding the performance mode, and it performs well. The game is pretty smooth. It's not perfect. You still have a few slowdowns, but most of the time it's really smooth, and it's really nice to play that way. The cheat codes are now, we already had cheat codes before, but they are now, some of them, especially the God mode, infinite credits, and super weapon mode, is now usable with the campaign. So this is why we actually have cheat codes here, because in the Pandora's box, you can already enable those. But then when you do that, you don't play a proper campaign. It doesn't really count as a proper campaign. With those codes, you can input them on the main screen, and then you will activate those features: God mode, unlimited continues, super weapon. You can activate them in a regular campaign. So that's it. I've tried those. The super weapon mode is fun. One thing I don't understand with those cheat codes is why the episode 0 is not available in the Pandora's box. In the Pandora's box, you can select your level, you can select if you want to activate the God mode, etc. But you can't select episode 0. It's rare because you have all the episodes listed. Episode 0 is not on there. So the only way to play this one is to use the cheat code. So I hope they can fix that and add it in the Pandora's box. It would be cleaner, I think. Now we are going to talk about the gyro control, gyroscope controls. Personally, I'm not a fan of gyroscope control usually, but I think it's a nice option to have for people who like that. I'm still going to have some complaints about that, some choices that don't really make sense in my opinion. First of all, the gyro controls are only available with the classic control. So let me remind you what is the main difference between the classic and the modern control. With the classic control, you use your left stick to control both your dragon and your aiming. So it's impossible to aim and move in an opposite direction. But it is possible with the modern controls because the modern controls let you move your dragon with your left stick and aim with the right stick. So you can basically move to the right and aim on the left, and it's not a problem at all. And it's especially nice for dodging some attacks from enemies. So I recommend this mode, guys. If you find the game hard, especially for dodging, it's a little bit difficult at first to get used to it because we have been playing the classic controls for so long. But it's actually good. It's a nice addition. But then, since you use both sticks to control the dragon and the aiming, you can't use the face button to fire. So they have set up the side buttons, ZL and ZR for the gun and the locking on. So yeah, that was a reminder on the controls, on the way the game controls. But the gyro controls only apply to the classic mode, and it doesn't really make sense because in games, when you have the gyro control, you never control your character movement. For instance, in Splatoon or in Doom, you only control the aiming, basically the camera up, down, left, right, and that's it. And the avatar movement is always controlled with the left stick. So why would you make this odd choice of confusing the player to control both the dragon movement and the aiming with one gyro control? No, it's not. It doesn't really make sense, and they need to fix that. The gyro control should apply to the modern controls. You should be able to control your dragon with your stick, the left stick, up, down, left, right to dodge, and then the aiming should be your gyro. That's it. Nothing more. It's confusing and it doesn't work well at all. It's not, yeah, it doesn't work. And one other thing that some people mention is that apparently the gyro control at the moment only use 4 directions, so up, down, left, right, and they don't use all directions like on other game such as Splatoon or Doom. So I think there is a little bit of tweaking here to do. I was a little bit surprised that they implemented it in that state. Maybe they should have put a mention in the option like a beta option, not finalized. I don't know, but it's not really playable in that state. So yeah, that was my input on the gyro control. They have reworked the sound system, so the sound of the dragon has been reworked. It sounds more like an eagle now, so it's different. Multi-button fire, yes. So now you can use A or B if you use the classic controls, and if you don't enable the super weapon mode. Yeah, input lag is completely absent now. They have removed the input lag, especially when rotating the camera. So I'm not sure why it's mentioned twice here. For me, the input lag was precisely for the camera rotation. Maybe there was more input lag, but it was the main problem with the camera. It's now easier and more responsive. The aiming system is more responsive, and it's true. You will notice that if you play the game. All options are also now available via the in-game pause menu, which is great. It should have been there from the start, but it's nice to see that it's finally there. And as I said, I was a little bit surprised that you could activate the performance mode, turn it on and off without any difference. The game is not doing anything. You can resume the game. It doesn't make any difference. I didn't see any difference visually in terms of graphics, so I'm not sure about what it does actually. The dragon animation has been reworked, and it's I think it was a bit distracting. The balancing of the dragon was a little bit distracting. So it's nice to see that it has been reworked. Obviously, you can never please everybody. I know that on the channel I had a comment from someone who said that he preferred the way it was before. I understand. We all have preferences. I don't know if they could have put an option for that, but honestly, it becomes probably a nightmare if you have to put an option for every single thing in the game. I don't know. But at least I mentioned it in the video. If Forever wants to do it, they can maybe focus on that. Start language based on console account language. Yes, it's something that I had noticed when I started the game for the first time. The game started in English. I mean, that's fine. I understand English, but why would the game start in English if the game has French or Spanish or German or Russian? The game should be detecting the language of your console automatically. It's a small thing that makes the game, more polished, make you feel like more care has been applied to the game. But that's how it is. At least it's coming now. A few additional tweaks have been mentioned on Twitter. I suggest you guys follow us on Twitter for live information. One more thing, Japan, yes, is still waiting for this patch. As of today, I don't think they have received the patch 1.3. They are still on patch 1.0, so you can imagine it must be tough for them to play the game in that state. We also have had confirmation that Panzer Dragoon will be shipped in version 1.3 on the limited run physical release. So as you can see, it's been confirmed on Twitter. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed this review. If you do, please give us a thumbs up and please share about this video. Comment your thought about the version 1.3 of Panzer Dragoon Remake. I also have the Panzercast episode 3 coming tomorrow on the channel. I hope you will enjoy that. We talk about many things in this upcoming podcast. So please, if you want to make sure not to miss this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for upcoming Panzer Dragoon news. Thank you. Bye-bye.